Citizens Alliance. Great to have you both with us. So, Keir Starmer resigning as Prime Minister of the UK, as we've heard, becoming the sixth Prime Minister to resign within the last 10 years. Here he is right now discussing why he has chosen to resign. Let's listen in.
That I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Steve, what do you make of the former Prime Minister losing confidence of the British people, and how might this impact relations with the United States?
Well, he really didn't have a choice. Certainly losing the confidence of the British people, but more importantly, the confidence of his own party. They saw the downturn in the economy. And look, the bigger picture in all of this is the 10 years of Brexit, because to your point, they will now have the seventh prime minister in 10 years, sometime in July or early August. Andy Burnham is going to be the next prime minister. So the Brexit deal has really upended the economy. That has resulted in the turmoil within the British system. Normally, Great Britain is seen as a very stable form of government. That's not been the case because of Brexit and the economy and the impact it's had on the country. Earlier today, I had an interview with a reporter from Politico who said, look, inside London, the city's doing pretty well, but you get outside of London, across England and in Scotland, and the economy is in dire straits. So it's inevitable. We'll see how the new prime minister does when he takes office. Perhaps he'll serve longer than 2 years like Keir Starmer, but it's been a pretty crazy roller coaster ride when it comes to British politics.
It's interesting, Michelle, we're hearing about the economies in different countries around the world. Obviously, Iran's economy, China's economy not doing well. President Trump posted online that Starmer failed on certain issues, specifically immigration and energy. Are Americans learning from this?
I truly hope so. And I would say good riddance to Starmer. However, I don't have high hopes for Andy. That is going to be coming in here soon, as I think we both suspect. Nonetheless, though, you look at his track record. This is why I say good riddance. I mean, we all have seen that viral report of over 250,000 British girls that were raped at the hands of immigrants. That's just the tip of the iceberg of the things that are happening over in the UK right now. And I'd have to agree with you. You look at Brexit and the catalyst of things that have happened since and how chaotic it is in something that was others seen as stable. Nonetheless, though, you're really just hitting the tip of the iceberg with the things that this man did while in power. You look at the mass immigration problem, and then you look at the unpunished rapes, I would say, of countless women over in that area. Nonetheless, you also look at the censorship that happened over in the UK. I mean, we've all seen the viral reports of people that were literally arrested because they weren't allowed free speech. It really is the tip of the iceberg. I would love to see a change, but it doesn't seem like that's coming soon.
Back home, President Trump says that the acts of vandalism are behind that recent damage that we saw to the renovated reflecting pool. Here's what he had to say.
It's not a lot of damage, but we'll probably have to let the water out and refix it. They went in there with a knife. I was just told by the people over at Parks, they have 5 people are arrested and 5 people are under investigation right now. And it's a sad thing.
Steve, in the event that these accusations are true, does it show that opposition to the president's agenda has gotten to an extreme point and that people are now vandalizing landmarks to go after President Trump?
Well, first of all, I hope not. Of the 5 people who have been arrested, none have been formally charged. Look, I just got to say this at the outset. Where is the evidence? Is there evidence that this happened, or is it clearly the result of a no-bid contract and not doing the due diligence? Look, it is a national treasure. And certainly, yes, if people desecrate and destroy public property, as we saw on January 6th, of course they should be arrested. But I got to stop the president on that point. Show me the evidence, because so far there has been no evidence that they have desecrated the reflecting pool, that they tore up the blue paint at the bottom, and that they poured chemicals. Look, it's monitored 24/7. So there are people out there all the time. There are cameras monitoring this. If there is evidence, show it to us. I got to tell you, I don't believe it.
Well, Steve, I don't know what's more extreme, slipping a little bit of algae into a pond or literally inscribing 8647 on the National Mall. With that said,
you're
Michelle,
right about that.
this comes after we literally saw just that, 8647 into the grass near the Lincoln Memorial. Do you think there's a credible possibility of vandalism here?
I definitely think there's credible possibility because you look at the state of half of our country right now and how angry they are. I mean, there's a viral TikTok trend going around of people reminiscing already of where they're going to be when it happens, as in the assassination of our current president. And I think that's a really big difference right now is a lot of us as Republicans can say that we don't agree with somebody, but we would never wish them dead. It seems that political violent rhetoric on the other side is a completely different situation in which you have people that genuinely want to see the death or the demise of people they don't agree with. So it's very believable that this could absolutely happen. Again, I haven't seen all of the proof yet, but I have seen everybody's rhetoric, what they're saying online, the protests and the things that people say they're going to do. I mean, the heat right now of a lot of people in this country is very, very stark.
And all of that is wrong. It's wrong on...
Yep.
Go ahead. Sorry, Steve.
No, Steve, please finish your thought.
No, of course, nobody wants that kind of rhetoric. And it's wrong if it's aimed at Barack Obama or Donald Trump or anybody. So if it gets personal, if it gets threatening like that, of course it is wrong. My only point is, if this in fact happened, show us the evidence. And I just don't believe it because we've not seen the evidence that this was, vandalism. They have the cameras. When the president says, well, they tell me, well, who's they? And if they're charging somebody, let's see the prosecution. And I just got to go back because we saw what happened on January 6th at the U.S. Capitol. That also was desecration of public property. He then pardons all of those individuals and then says they should get money. So it goes both ways.
Now, along with the president's efforts to beautify the nation's capital, he's also really taken on to try to reduce crime in D.C. In Chicago, though, he's condemning the violence that's been taking place in the city and offering federal assistance. Here's the president voicing his concern earlier from the Oval Office.
Chicago, which is a shooting field right now, if the governor would call me, Governor Pritzker would call me, I would solve the Chicago problem. In 3-4 months, you'd have virtually a crime-free city. We'll remove all of the bad ones. You have criminals. You have career criminals that came in through the border because of Sleepy Joe Biden.
Steve, 39 people shot in Chicago, 6 fatally over the weekend. Does the president have a point in that Chicago is failing to prevent violent crime? And could D.C. and Memphis serve as models for doing so?
Of course. And I was in Chicago over the weekend. It's a big, big story out there. It's a big problem. There's no question about it. And yes, the National Guard has made a huge difference in Washington, D.C. I guess the question has to be, does the governor want them in Chicago? Does the mayor want them in Chicago? That's got to be a state and local issue. But there's no question that the presence of the National Guard has really made a difference. So credit to Trump. We saw that in New Orleans. But I also think this is also part politics, let's be honest, because J.B. Pritzker is thinking about running for president. And I think that that is also a factor in all of this. But nobody can negate the fact that crime is a huge issue and the violence over the weekend is unacceptable.
Well, to that point as well, Steve, I just want to say, I think it's extremely selfish of Pritzker right now because he is eyeing a 28 bid. And if that's the case, a massive talking point against him can be that Trump came into his state and helped clean it up, similar to what he did in D.C. And I actually give the mayor of D.C. a lot of credit because she admitted that Trump coming in and helping out made a huge difference in terms of crime in D.C. And I think all of us that have been there can even agree to that. Nonetheless, though, what Brandon Johnson is doing and what Governor Pritzker is doing in Chicago and in the state of Illinois is extremely selfish. And I think a lot of the parents, especially parents that had a child that died of gun violence, should be extremely angry at the leadership there right now.
Maybe in their political assessments and posturing, they would see that maybe coming together, some voters, perhaps more voters than they might think, would find it refreshing. Steve Scully, Michelle Backus, really appreciate you joining us.